Are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
All
I
right,
see
great.
it should be live now.
Sorry for the technical difficulties there. Um,
Yeah.
this is a stream I've been wanting to.
Yeah, I agree. It should be live now.
I think we got a little lag here. Give me 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. I think we have a little lag on my end. We got a little lag here. But anyway, I think I'm ready to go. Anyway, this is an interview I've been wanting to do for quite a while since I saw your interview on the YouTube. And I think I want to play a little bit of that video if I have time. This is an interview I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Are you getting some feedback on your end? YouTube. And I think I want to play a little bit of that video if I have time. This is an interview I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Are you getting some feedback on your end?
Yeah. Do I need to turn something off?
Let's see if you can mute your mic.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna mute. Yeah.
Okay, how's that? Are you able to hear me now? Is it still a lag? Oh, well, let's see. Are you listening to it on YouTube or on StreamYard? Oh, you have to go off mute. Are you on YouTube or StreamYard? Are you on mute? I can't hear you. You're on mute. You have to go off mute.
All right.
Are you on YouTube or StreamYard?
I turned off YouTube.
Okay, so that may have been where we were getting the lag here. I'm still getting the lag here. Are you still getting the lag?
Yeah. I turned off YouTube.
Okay, so that may have been where we were getting the lag here. Let's see. Still getting the lag. 1 second.
Yeah. I turned off YouTube.
Okay, so that may have been where we were getting the lag here. Let's see. I'm looking to see where's the background. Make sure I have nothing else open here. It's kind of difficult to do the interview with this background noise here. Let's see. I know that. I know that. Let's see. I know that. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm hearing background. I don't know if it's your machine or mine.
I can hear you. Want me to? I can shut all my stuff down and come back.
Okay, yeah, come back. Come down.
Y'all come back. Let me shut all mine down and come back.
Okay.
I can shut all my stuff down. Come back.
I'll just kick you out. All right. While we're waiting on him to come back, we have some funny landlord stories. This is kind of So You Want to Be a Landlord series. So this week was quite eventful as a landlord. I had to kind of help some people move their things out of a couple of rooms that were guests of mine. And you would be amazed at some of the pictures of the rooms that people live in. This is in one of the guys' rooms. I'm not even sure if this is a recent picture, but this is one of the pictures that came up in my phone as I was just going through recent memories of how tenants live. Here's another one here. Man, truly amazing. I think it's the same room here. I just often wonder, like, how do these people work? Oftentimes when they're living under these kind of conditions, it's just really kind of amazing. You look here, you look at this picture, it's just truly amazing. But here's one of the more amazing pictures that I think you'll find interesting, is that this bedroom that I'm about to show you is probably 10, 12 feet from the bathroom. And here you'll see we have a guy, let me add Emmett to the stage. You'll see we have a guy that has been using the bathroom in a jug in his room. Emmett, I was just telling you, we were just talking about how you was telling me someone kind of fed up with tenants and landlording in the hood. And here's a. I'll go back. I don't know if you were able to see some of the things. This is a guy's room right here. That I had to evict this guy. It's actually an old room. It's not a new state, but it's just kind of a current, just an example of, man, like how these people live, man. I was thinking about. I want to show that video of yours in Home Depot, and you were talking about how they just pursue hourly work where they can be kind of unproductive. Most of the time they're on their job. You remember you said that? Oh, you on mute. Let's see. Oh, you can unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear now. It's much better.
So what you're looking at right there in that clutter is a mindset. If I go to your closet and I look inside of your closet, that tells me that's a direct correlation with how you actually process things in your mind. So what you're looking at is a mindset of we have so much distraction, so much clutter in our head that we can't have focus and clear thought. This is what's going on.
And when you're talking about how, and we're going to get to this interview, but before we get there, I was telling someone about you, and he went and looked you up, and he noticed that you went to UAB for math. Is that right?
Correct.
So before we get to your interview, why don't you give us kind of a brief synopsis of who you are? Tell us about your company and everything like that.
Now, I've been building a little over 20 years, but I kind of got started as I used to be a math teacher. I wanted to have a really nice house, but I knew I couldn't afford it off of the teaching salary. So I went out and I built my own house. I with the math, I put all the math together, and I figured out how to do this. And I built my own house. And I actually, when I was building the house, I ended up selling it. I put a for sale sign just to see what happened. And I sold it, and I made my whole teaching salary off of that one house.
Get out of here! Really? Wait, now, how did you learn how to build houses?
Well, what I did was I went and got my builder's license. Well, I built my first house. It was my mother-in-law house. My mother-in-law, my wife, mother-in-law. They got. You ever heard of Green Track? Well, she's one of the owners. She's one of the owners of Green Track. And
okay.
And so they had a lot of money coming in. So I built her house.
Okay.
That's kind of how I learned. But every last one of my subs got me. They got me good. I mean,
in terms of what?
I was doing, huh?
You say your subs got you good. What do you mean by that?
Well, they were overcharging me. They would get the money and they wouldn't come back and finish. It was a nightmare, man. It was a mess. And as a matter of fact, me and my wife, mother-in-law, man, we fell out. We fell out over that. I ended up fixing it though. But we fell out over that, man, because and it was my fault. Those subcontractors just dealing with those subs, and they wouldn't come back and get the job done. They were charging me too much. I went over on my budget. Whatever nightmare you can think of that can happen for a first-time builder, it happened to me.
Now, how did you transition fully from a math teacher? Because that would have been a pretty good job. You had a guaranteed pension, things like that.
Well, as a math teacher, I think during that time, man, the math teacher was making about $30,000 a year. And it was decent. Me and my wife had a nice little house. But I ended up when I built our first house and I put it up for sale and it ended up selling and I made my teaching salary. I went out and I said, well, let me do 2 of them. And then I did 2 of them and they sold. Mm-hmm. You see how this, and then I started getting into the building game. And that's kind of how I got in the building game. So then I kind of escalated after that. Now in 2007, when the economy went bust, I was left out there with a house or 2 that I had that I couldn't pay the interest on. That thing was rough on me. And so I had to go back to, I actually went back to teaching. But at that time, I lost my teacher certificate. I let that lapse. So I lost my teacher certificate. So I was actually making as much. I went back as a substitute teacher, but I was making probably what people were making at McDonald's, being a substitute teacher.
Is that right?
Um, so then here's what ended up happening, man. I mean, things were bad, man. We were struggling. Me and my wife, we were struggling. It was real tough. And I ended up there was a job came available for a friend of mine, knew the mayor for the city of Alabaster. And they got me in over there as the building official for the city of Alabaster. They had some stuff going on over there. So I became the building official. So
Okay.
I ran the building department. I ran the planning and zoning commission. I ran the board of zoning adjustment and the abatement. So that's where I learned how to be a real builder. And then I hired inspectors too. So I had to get into the code book and learn how to inspect. So that's really
Mm.
where I learned how to be a builder with the city of Alabaster.
I'm looking for that video that you shot in the Fairfield Home Depot. What was the name of that video?
It was called. Let me grab it right quick. Like, let me see if I find it.
Yeah, if you put that, I think I'll be able to get it out of the chats. If you put that in the chat.
Yeah, it's called Black Contractors Are in Trouble.
That's right. Let me pull that up.
I can send you a link. Let me see.
Are you able to put it in the back chat here?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat right here.
I want to show that video. I sent that video around to many people. You know, I want to give you some of my backstory. You know,
Okay.
I'm a landlord, and for years I've hired, you know, handymen for the most part, plumbers, electricians, things like that. And when I first bought my house in DC, I said I'm going to get up early in the morning and see who is out working. And I figured that would be the person that has already gotten his materials and would be, you know, on the job. And I said, I want to hire that guy. And every person it was a Hispanic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I hated it, man. I'll be honest with you, you know, to see your money going to, and not that I dislike the Hispanics, but to see that blacks were so excluded from the field of the actual work. And when you talk about them doing the retail aspect, but not providing a product, I think something along those lines you said in your video. I said, man, this guy's hitting it right on the head here. Let me see if I can pull up this video here, because I really want to pull it up for the people that are watching. Let's see. Let's see. Share screen. Let me see if I can pull it. Let me know if you can see the screen here.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Feel free to stop me anytime. I just want to hear you commenting on this as it's showing here. Let me see if I can.
That's the other one. That's who killed the trades.
Oh,
the one with Home Depot is another one. It's the face.
Oh,
of
yeah. I thought that was an interesting video there.
that's another one. I actually put it in the chat.
Oh, did you? Let's see. I thought I grabbed it. I see it. Oh, you may have put your. Let's see. I'm gonna see. Put it in the back chat there. In the private. You put it in the private chat.
Private chat. Yeah, that's where I put it at. In the private chat.
The one that ends with a K. Let me see if I.
Let me see. I think I grabbed. Let me see. Let me try it. Let me see if I can grab it again.
I can email it to myself because I made sure.
Get shareable link.
This is who killed the trades. The other one, the name is. What's the name of the video again? I'm just gonna pull it.
It's the name of the video is Black Contractors Are in Trouble.
Oh yeah, it is.
And it has a Hispanic guy / black guy. You can, like, his head is split.
Yeah, I got it right. I got it right here. All right, let me share the screen.
Which is a good little service at home. It's the Home Depot Pro Desk, or whatever they have. But that works really, really good. But now, guys, you got to understand that we're in Fairfield, Alabama. Now, there are Home Depots all throughout. You got Hoover, Vestavia. You got all these little areas that's on, this kind of greater Birmingham area. But
now I rode around. I did a Google Maps around Fairfield. It's a very, it's not an affluent area. Is that fair to say?
it's not. It's probably about 93, I think, 93% black. You got a black. Everybody's black there.
Do you think that those Hispanic contractors were working in that area, or do you think they were just going there to get in and out faster?
No, they were working there, because if they weren't, here's the thing. Like I said, if those guys, it would be better for them if you're working in Hoover. See, all the surrounding area, you got Hoover, Vestavia. They got a Home Depot in all those areas, or Lowe's. It would be easier for them to, if they're working in Hoover, to load up in Hoover, not Fairfield.
So you don't think they were there just because it's quicker for them to get in and out?
No. And the reason being is because Fairfield is just it's not a lot of industry in Fairfield. There's not a lot of stuff that's going on. There's not a lot of building that's going on in Fairfield. As a matter of fact, I'm building a house in Fairfield. Well, I'm doing a rebuild, and that's why me and my son was in there. And we're probably the only ones that's doing a new construction job, pretty much a new construction permit, residential in Fairfield right now.
So you think the blacks in Fairfield were hiring the Hispanics?
Yes.
Wow.
Even riding in the neighborhood, these guys, there's a bunch of roof jobs being done. There's a bunch of decks and stuff. I mean, just going to the place where I'm going to do my job, there's activity going on. There's construction jobs that are going on with the older houses. The people are, they got insurance. They're getting the roof redone. They're getting things done to the house. So no, those guys were doing work for us.
Let's jump back into this video. I want to get to the Home Depot part.
As we're in the Home Depot in Fairfield, which I would argue that in that particular case, at this area right here, that most of those guys right there were doing work for African Americans. Because if they were doing work, because you got to understand, Fairfield, if they were doing work in Hoover, or one of the outskirts of Birmingham, it would be better for them to pick the stuff up in the Hoover area. These guys are picking this stuff up in Fairfield, which means that they're going to pick it up close to where they're going to do the work at. It just makes more sense for them not to be hauling it all over like Hoover, Trustfield, and all the other areas. Fairfield is predominantly black area, which I would argue that these guys are doing work for someone in Fairfield, which is probably more than likely black people. And this is the point that I'm trying to make.
Do you think these Hispanics were speaking English?
They could barely speak English. Even the ones that work there could barely speak English. You might have one out the crew that can speak fluent English and Spanish, but for the most part, nah, they don't.
So in that sense, they don't even need to speak English. No. If one can rally the troops, huh? I saw you laughing there. What were you thinking when you listening to that?
Talking about I was just remembering what I was going through when I filmed that.
What were you thinking when you filmed this?
See, man, what ended up happening was me and my son we was dealing with a black lady. There was a black lady that was behind the counter, and I said a couple of trigger words and kind of irritated her.
It don't take much. It don't take much,
Yeah. I said a couple of, so here's the thing. There was a black lady and there was a Hispanic lady behind the counter. We was doing a return first. And the Hispanic lady was helping me. And she was very pleasant. We was going on, and the black lady interjected and things just went south. And so I said a couple of trigger words, and that's when that thing. Then I kind of had an idea. I said, "Man, let me just film who's up in here," and that's kind of how I got into
that. I'll get back to the video. I got a question I want to ask you in a minute.
The point that I'm trying to make, even we don't even want to use us. This is where we're at now, guys. we don't want to use us because now, mind you, let's understand this right here. I got a little list of things I need to go through. There's a lot to unpack here, but mind you, so when you're dealing with African Americans, right? Now, at one time, I can say this right here. At one time, guys, maybe about 15 to 20 years ago, when I first kind of got into this game, you could get work from Hispanic. It was just much cheaper back then than you could from anybody else, white men or black men. If you went to the Hispanics, I mean, you probably got the labor costs, and they did good work. But you could get it for cheaper back then. Today, guys, things have changed. Now, back then, see, here's what happened. Back then, the Hispanic labor was cheaper. Like for whatever reason, some of those guys coming here, they didn't have the debt that we had. So they were cheaper and they come out, they get the job done, they get on out the way. Then once all the white men and the black men, as far as competing with them when it comes to labor, we couldn't do it. That was back then, back about 15, 20 years ago. We couldn't compete. So a lot of the black men and white men, you know what we did? We took jobs. We took a job working at a company, getting paid by the hour. We just let them have it. So now, fast forward to today, all the Hispanic labor, now they bump their cost up because.
Hey, I've seen just that, man.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's coincidental.
No.
Like, I think it's organized.
No, they're
charging as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
With a language barrier, they're still charging the same price. As you say, they have people that kind of round them up. I'm gonna give you a backstory of what I think. I think that I've rented to some of them, not many, but I've looked at the way they live, and you'll see 4 or 5 adults leaving the house in the morning, maybe going to one job site. Yeah. That's a hell of a lot more efficient, if you going to put a roof on and 3 or 4 of your workers are right there in the house with you, or you can pick them up down the street and they're all in one house. But yeah, it's very interesting. Why do you think that is that the prices came in so low? Now they're regular prices.
Well, I think they, number one, I think they colluding with one another. When I say colluding, it's not a bad thing. They just cornered the market now. And it's kind of like the analogy that I use with J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller. When those guys back during that time, you had a bunch of different steel companies. You had probably over 100 and some steel companies. And J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller merged together to drive, and they lowered the cost to just cost. And what they did was no one else could compete with their costs. So they drove all those guys out of business. And when they drove out of business, they were the only ones in the market. And so that's how John D. Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan were able to corner the market. Well, the Hispanic guys have essentially done the same thing. What they did was they came over here and they gave us cheap labor. And it was cheap, and they did good work. But over time, they collude with one another. They figured that, we could win together if we work together. Now, somebody in my video, somebody in the comments made a good point. They said that, to us, they all look the same. Like the Hispanic, but you got Guatemalan, there's a bunch of different Hispanic speaking people. And they said that they be after each other. They be trying to, cut each other backs out and stuff like that. But to us, we don't see that. Mm-hmm. We just see that guys are cheaper, and now they bump the costs up, so they're no different than anybody else. I just did another video, and I'm gonna put it out. And it's talking about brothers getting back into the game. But what we're gonna have to end up doing is you got to lower your costs, even lower than theirs, in order just to get the job. Do you
think that it is pretty much like too late for the young black men trying to get into it, say, by themselves? Let me give it to you a better way. If your son didn't have you, how easy do you think it would be for him to get into the trades?
There's there's so much against the African American man right now. It is. I don't want to just make us feel like that it's just impossible, but you got a lot that's against us right now. You got these young generation guys, they're not being raised by their fathers. So you got that's 75% of them there. And then you got the media that's pushing this stuff. They pushing an agenda, that you guys need to be entertainers, you guys need to be athletes and stuff like that. So that's a whole another animal. Then you have man, you got our women. So there's a law called Bree Folks Law. Y'all check this out.
Well, say it again. What's the name of it?
It's called Bree Folks Law. And
Okay.
chat it's spelled kind of different. Bree.
Yeah, put it in the chat. I'll look it up.
Look it up when you get a chance. But it's called Bree Folks Law. And what that says is that the women are the ones that determine the mating strategies of men. So if your woman if she only deals with the guys that go out here and the rappers and all these type of guys and the entertainers and stuff like that, if that's what your woman pretty much deals with, that's what the boys are gonna give them. See, when I was coming up, the guys that had a briefcase, if you walked around school with a briefcase and you had your penny loafers on, and because the girls looked at the guys who had the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So we all tried to be. They even made a dance called back in the day. That was probably before your time, but they made a dance called the prep.
That might be a little bit before my time.
we wanted to be preppy kids, the Argyle socks and stuff like that. We wanted to dress like a businessman. Well, now fast forward to today, the women, they don't, like, even in the Black community, our women don't value blue collar work. Because a lot of our women got their degrees. They got degrees, they in school. So they see here changing oil, or you out here doing, construction work, you're a blue collar worker. They don't value that as much as the Hispanic women do. So the Hispanic guys, because they see that and the women value that, that's what they're going to give them. That's what they're going to
do. I've kind of experienced the same thing with the as tenants. I have a video. I may show you a bit of it where I did a podcast about the Black man is able to kind of have more sex than he's deserving. And that causes a lot of problems in the Black community, because if you're not working and you're being rewarded with sex from a woman, things get kind of upside down.
Well, let me add to that. The problem is that the wrong Black men in our communities are being rewarded with sex.
Yeah.
See, the pookies and the ray-rays are the ones that the women are giving themselves to. And that's 20% of the African Americans, and you got to check this out too. 20% of the males in the African American community are procreating with 80% of the females.
Yeah.
That's why it's real easy for you to go to the hood and you got one baby dad and he didn't impregnated 5 or 6 girls in that neighborhood, but she didn't give her. And here's the thing. It's only when you're dealing with the African Americans that we do that. If you go to the Asian community, they will not allow the most dysfunctional men in their community to procreate. If you go to the Jewish community, they won't allow it. Now they will have sex with them. They will have sex with them, but they're not gonna have a baby for them. It's only when you're dealing in the African American community that, for the most part, our women procreate predominantly with the most dysfunctional guys in our community.
I showed you that picture of those guys that and how they were living, and you would think that those guys would not have any sex.
Oh no,
they would want to lay up with those men, but those men probably have more sex than they probably have more sex than men that are out here working. Young Black men say working, making $25 an hour.
Well, here's the thing. Those guys like that live in those conditions and think like that, their whole life is sex. They're just a walking organ. That's all they think about is sex. So and that's all they do. So they have time to go out here and pursue women all day long. But if a man,
Yeah.
if you own your purpose and you got your purpose in order and you doing what you got to do, you ain't got time to make the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because you're on your purpose. But
And I think that you'll find that it comes much easier to you too. You know, if you're really about, handling your business, you'll find that, just women and everything else will come so much easier to you. Let's get back to your podcast. I want to do this show with you again. I want to show you one of my podcasts that I streamed on Chaotic Truth. He has a pretty interesting podcast. You might should take a look. But let's get back to your podcast, because I really want to hear what you said about the workers again.
It's kind of like J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller back when they did steel. They lowered their costs until they drove all the other steel companies. The other steel companies couldn't compete, so they went out of business. And when they went out of business, they bumped their costs back up. Well, this is the same thing happened with Hispanic labor. So yes, the costs went down. Back then, it was really, really low. Now that all the black men and all the white guys are out of the business, we took jobs. Once we took jobs, they, as a collective, they increased their costs. Now, one thing I can say about the Hispanic guys is that they do actually get together and they collaborate and they make sure that they're consistent across the board on costs. You're not going to go to one Hispanic guy and you're not going to, and you're going to go to a whole another one and they're going to be totally offset on costs. They're not going to do that. They're going to all, because they collaborate, which is what, and in a lot of cases, a lot of brothers don't do.
Why do you think your brothers don't collaborate?
Man, there's a couple different things, man. I think one thing is ego. For some odd reason, that's been pumped into us. Ego, and I'm trying to collaborate with some brothers right now. They just won't do it. They just won't do it. They'll rather be out here and fail than to merge up with me and my company. And I don't even care about being in the background. I don't want everybody to see that I'm out here doing what I'm doing. I can be in the background. They won't do it. They won't do it. The ego, the male ego, in the is different.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got a fellow Tuskegee graduate just joined. I mentioned him to you over the phone. His name is Chris. He's from Hooper City. Don't hold that against him. Chris, you want to introduce yourself and I'll let Emmett reintroduce himself to you.
How you doing, brother? My name's Emmett Stallworth, Alpha Construction.
Okay. Hey, how you doing, bro? I'm Chris Knight. Yeah, I am from Birmingham originally. Went to Tuskegee, architect here in Atlanta. I do design, build, basically producing construction documents and expediting building.
When were you at?
Say again?
I said, when were you at Tuskegee? What year you were there?
Yeah, I graduated in '99.
So you know a Dr. Roderick Fluker?
Of course we know Dr. Fluker.
Roderick
Fluker. Yeah, Dr. Fluker, Dr. Roderick Fluker. I think it's doctor. I don't know if it's doctor yet, but is it Roderick?
Definitely Dr. Fluker.
He's an instructor.
We're talking about the same history professor, right?
No, I thought he taught engineering or something like that, architecture or something like that.
Okay, Fluke. Honestly, the only Fluke I was familiar with was
the history professor.
That taught history.
He may be. Did he teach down at Tuskegee?
Yeah.
That should be him then. We grew up together. We grew up in Evergreen, Alabama.
Was Dr. Fluker from Evergreen? Do you remember, Chris?
I can't remember.
Chris has some family connections there, and some pretty important people, I guess you could say, Chris. If you want to tell him about them, you can. But Chris, I want you to see some of this video he shot. I don't know how much you've seen of it. Let's play a little bit of it.
So now, today, their cost is just as high as anything else.
He's talking about the Hispanic work.
So if you as an African-American or white contractor want to get out here and get into the game, you can, but you got to get the trade. You got to master the trades. You can do it today. You can do it. And here's the thing, guys. So if you look at this picture right here, you're going to see those guys who got these carts and they buying this product, they are getting paid. These guys are getting paid by product productivity. They're not being paid hourly. These guys right here, when you see the guys like that lady right there, she's being paid by the hour. If you fast forward, let me see, this guy right here, that guy right there is getting paid. He's getting paid by the hour. Now, here's the troubling thing about being paid by the hour, guys. Let me just get you to understand this right here. See, most of us have been indoctrinated on this hourly thing. And the reason we like hours, and I'm not saying this brother right here is that way, but I'm saying as a collective, in a lot of cases, I didn't say all, but in a lot of cases, the reason that we like to work by an hour is because we can clock in and we don't have to be 90 to 100% efficient on work productivity. We can clock in, we can go in the back somewhere. You can go in the bathroom and take a nap inside one of the stalls. I'm not saying that this brother's doing that, but that's what you can do when you get paid by the hour. You can hide, take breaks, you can disappear. You're not, as a matter of fact, people who work by the hour, they're probably 30% efficient. People who work by productivity, that means you're going to get paid based on what you do, and you got to do a good job. You got to complete the job. You get paid better because you're getting paid by the product. It's a better way to get paid, guys. And now what I'm saying today is that if you got your business in order, because here's another thing, guys. Here's another thing that you got to understand. In the state of Alabama, this is in the state of Alabama. In the state of Alabama, if you are a contractor and you go out here and contract a job with a homeowner, and that job exceeds $10,000, and you're doing one thing on that job, guys, you have to have a limited home builder's license. So if I put it in terms of, let's just say you're a deck builder.
Let me ask you this. When you're there with your son, and Chris, you have a son too, and both of y'all in construction, man, it must be, on one hand, I guess you could be teaching your son a real valuable life lesson here. But on the other hand, it would seem to be rather bleak for young black men. At best, they'll do well individually, but the ability to team up, gets harder and harder, it appears. And you were just speaking about that, Emmett. What do you think?
No, they just now you gotta, like I said, the ego won't let us. I don't know what it is about our ego. We try to do everything on our own. We try to be mavericks. And you gotta understand that our counterpart, white, any other community, those guys are teaming up. They're working together. They're working together as teams. For some reason, we don't want to do that. My son, man, I try to teach them. As a matter of fact, I teach classes over at Lawson State Community College. And that's one criteria that I make for. So if I got about 15 students in one class, I make them team up. And then not only is it just a class, when they go out, I make them team up and go out. So that's one of my criteria with my guys. Most of my guys come to me, they out here working anyway, but I make them team up. They got to pair up. They got to have a dog pound. They got to have a wolf pack. If I can get 3 or 4 of them to team up, that's even better. And then I try to get the younger guys to team up with the older guys. My average student right now is probably 40 and above. So
how much business do each of you guys do with Latinos?
How much what now?
Hey, Mr. Wade here. Mr. Wade is a radio host down in Mississippi. You're running for mayor of Jackson, Mississippi.
How you doing?
Very, very conservative black man. Trump supporter. I don't know. You're a Trump supporter. I know Chris is not, but we won't make this about Trump. Mr. Wade, I wanted to reach out to Emmett because he had a video in Home Depot where he showed all the blacks working and all the Hispanics doing the real work, coming in there buying 2x4s and that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to talk to him about that because I see it so much as a landlord. That I go through my receipts and 90% of the people I spend money with are Hispanics. And it's very sad to see in a way, but they're winning fair and square. But it's very, very difficult to see. So I wanted to get the perspective of these two guys and a guy that might possibly be the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, and see how your thoughts kind of align. And then for Chris and Emmett here, there may be some synergies here. But go ahead, introduce yourself, Mr. Wade.
How you doing, folks? Kim Wade here in Jackson, Mississippi, and I'm just getting online. And the whole topic of the Hispanics or whoever, well, the blacks community was the same way back in the turn of the century when they moved up north. They brought a work ethic. They brought humility in their disposition and how they approach things, and the marketplace rewarded hard work and humility and a good work ethic. The same thing that's happening to the Hispanic and the immigrants that are coming here. They're just the marketplace is rewarding them. Subsequent generations of blacks have lost that zeal, that work ethic that the marketplace will reward. And so I don't begrudge the Hispanic community or whoever else. I mean, it's out there for anybody to get, but we can talk the all black thing. Like I said, I've been in the nation. I was in the nation for 15 years. So, I know the whole, do for self thing, yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, we ain't going to do nothing. You better have a plan for your life and for yourself. And I think that's what my friend here is talking about overall. And that is, dude, you got to get your grind on. You got to be at the top of your game, and the marketplace will reward you. So I don't hold any bitterness to those who grind. How can I fault a man that's willing to walk all the way from Guatemala to work in the chicken factory? Walk. And we can't get folks to, hey man, I can't get down there to that job place, man. Well, I know, but if it was somewhere where they're doing something illegal or doing something wasn't supposed to be doing, they'd have all the transportation options they need, So, but anyway, that's just it down here in Jackson, Mississippi. It's about a 50, I guess about 50-50 on the racial makeup on my listening audience. And like I said, opportunity is there for those who want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, you guys have to check out. You guys have to check out Mr. Wade from 5 to 7, right? 5 to 7 Central Standard Time on WYAB. Hey, Mr. Wade, I want you to hear a little bit of this video and comment on it here. Let me pull it up again. Let's see. I just want you, if you can hear it, I want you to hear a little bit of it. Hey, I can hardly hear you, Mr. Wade.
These guys. But do we think, these guys, if they're out here doing work and they're doing one particular job, they have to have either a unlimited home builder's license or a limited home builder's license. Or if they're doing a roof, man. If they do a roof and that roof is over $2,500 in the state of Alabama, you have to have a roofing license. If you're doing work that exceeds $2,500. So that within itself, see, if brothers will go get their business in order and get your licenses, you can compete. You can compete. You can, but here we go again. So now what you would have to do now, it's going to take something that, it may even take something that, because you over in Fairfield, over in a predominantly black place, where they're doing a lot of business with a lot of black people.
Were any white men in this Home Depot?
Say that again.
Were there any white men in that Home Depot?
I might have saw one, an older white guy that was working there.
But everybody else was, all the construction men were Hispanic
or black. There were no, now working at the Home Depot, like working for Home Depot, it was all black and Hispanic. And like I said, it was one older white guy, I think he was working there at Home Depot.
How long do you think those blacks would be able to keep a job there?
Huh?
How long do you think those blacks would be able to keep a job there?
I think they just go, I don't think they keep the job long. Because I've been there before and I saw a whole nother crew. And I'm starting to notice that the crew is starting to, it used to be a lot of, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there were more blacks working there. But now, they starting to get half Hispanic, but they only have Hispanic women working there at the Home Depot. I didn't see any Hispanic men. All the Hispanic men were actually getting jobs and getting material to do jobs.
Hey, Chris, have you noticed that in the Home Depots? What's it like in the Home Depots where you are in the Atlanta area?
Oh man, absolutely. You got
not only do you got majority of Hispanic subcontractors you see inside the building, but the majority of them are standing outside looking for work.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen these guys. They're really pulling together up in this region. I mean, and they're operating at a high capacity. They got trucks, they got equipment. They're getting most of the work. And I gotta agree with what you said. They're in position to do so. Well, they have people in position, and so I mean, we definitely got to get more involved in getting registrations and getting licensure and taking advantage of some of these contracts. You know, I work with a lot of Hispanic guys. Not, I guess in this area, maybe there's not a lot of Hispanic architects, so and quite a few of them seek out my services. But as far as construction, I mean, they got it on lock. Where I look, it's Hispanic crews running jobs. I've got a few Hispanics I work with myself. It's just holiday,
What do you think the
I don't
the
know.
the major
We got a long
reason?
way to go.
Why do you think the blacks are unable to form the teams? Well, let me ask you this: have you ever heard of the thing "Don't do business with friends and family"? You ever heard that before? Mr. Wade, I'm gonna put you on mute there.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but
Do you think that
I
affects?
designed my brother a crematorium, so I don't really believe in that concept.
But do you think it
But
hinders
I've heard it
blacks
before.
from being? But do you think it hinders blacks from being able to work together as effectively as, say, the Hispanics? If your mindset is not to do business with friends and family, then wouldn't that kind of put you behind the eight ball
I
as it
mean,
relates
it
to?
goes to the root of it. It goes to the
What
root
about
of
you,
it.
man?
I mean, you
What
literally
about you?
teaching them that there should be some distrust.
The only issue I have with me being a contractor is that I gotta feel comfortable suing you if you don't do it right. If you don't if you don't get that job done right on my side, I would do everything I can do within my power to make sure I get remedy.
You mean from a subcontractor point of view?
Subcontractors, yeah,
Mm.
subcontractors. Um, but as far as like working with, like if I got somebody, I'm begging guys to come in. I got contractors that are here that I'm begging them to come in and say, hey man, let's merge together. Let me do the administrative side of the business and you do the production side of the business. And they won't, they won't come in. So what I end up
Mm.
having to do is my students at Lawson, we do they get their home builders license. Once they get their home builders license, I pull them in under my umbrella, under my
Mm.
company's umbrella. And I have them to be, for the most part, my superintendents, and they deal with my production side, and I still deal with the administrative side, and we profit. So it's kind
Hey,
of like,
Chris, you have a similar setup with the Atlanta city government where they provide you some interns. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, it's Cab County,
DeKalb County, yeah.
but
Well, they provide you interns.
yeah. I've been a part of a program for I guess it's about the 5th year now. That every summer they've got a program, a federal funded program that provides uh, I guess job training for kids coming out of high school, and they basically if there are any kids in the program that request any type of work through construction or architecture or engineering, they would send them my way uh, with a limit of about 4 kids per summer. So the most I've had is 2 at one time, but pretty good program. I got a kid with me working the program now. He's doing pretty good. So yeah, that's a pretty good program. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get ready to wrap it up. We've been going about almost an hour. I want to give you guys opportunity, particularly Chris and Emma here, to maybe if you want to exchange, business names, something like that. Because I know Chris has some family in Birmingham. Emma, you may have some family in Atlanta area, but I know Chris always talks about doing business in Birmingham, so you guys may find something in common there. So, Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. You want to exchange information?
Give your last word. You want to give out your business name, whatever information. You can also put it in the back chat. Emma can grab it from there if you want.
Yeah. I think I can. I can pull up the information. But no, I can appreciate the topic we talked about. I think some of my thoughts as far as we as a people and where we are. And, I know you talked about it being said that it's bad to do with family. Like I said, I think that some of our main problems are rooted within our own family structure. With weird, and some of us, and the family structure as well as our community, because some of our communities are traditions are to the point where some of us are teaching our kids that we are doing good to move away from our community. We are, quote unquote, getting out of our community. Do what you got to do to get out of here. I think that's one of the things we've had to deal with. And in that concept, you leave home, you go to school, you find a job, you might not hesitate to go across country and find a job, totally separating yourself from your family, thus dispersing our families and our people at the same time. And so before you know it, we're all over the place, yet we have not planted our feet where we need to obtain the level of ownership that we need, so we're constantly on a different level until we can figure out how to come back together.
What about you? What says you, Emmett?
I mean, I think I'm gonna piggyback on what he just said. I think that the only way, the best way to fix our dilemma that we're in is family. If you're not talking about getting the core family back, and I mean father, mother, and the kids, and everybody needs to maintain their role in that house, And I'm not talking about just a father who's just a piece of furniture in that house. I'm talking about a dominant male dad that, he's in the house and he runs his house. And until you start getting these families back, if you don't get the family back, see, the family is what's going to create the community. You get a group of family, they create the community, then your school systems thrive and all that other stuff thrives. But, we're not talking about fixing that family. We're not talking about fixing our kids.
Let me ask you this. That's interesting. You often hear Black people talk about fixing families and things like that. And so I'm often curious. I think, Chris, you live in a Black neighborhood, is that right? Would you say it's Black? Would you call your neighborhood a Black neighborhood? I'm sorry? Oh, you're on mute. I think you're on mute. But what about you, Emmett? You live in a Black neighborhood?
Ooh, no, man. I live what they call it, over the mountain.
What's that?
I live over the mountain.
What's that?
I live over the mountain.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest problems. We might get feedback, maybe Chris. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems is that so many of the Blacks that are capable, maybe rounding or like bad Blacks. Let me see. Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is like the Black men that could probably round up and lead the wayward Blacks. They moved on, not for not good reasons, for good reasons. But I think that's really the root of it all. You know, I tell Chris all the time, I do business in the black neighborhood, what many people call the ghetto. I don't have a problem doing that. Yeah, I showed you some of the pictures. Chris, have you seen these pictures? Have you seen some of these pictures, Chris? He's on mute. Let me see if I can unmute. But yeah, I think the easiest thing is probably, you know, for many black people, the ones that can't make it in corporate America, is to figure out a way to make it in their own neighborhood. And I found it pretty easy being a landlord in the black neighborhoods. I know people say it's rough and tough, but other than the filth, you know, they're not very clean people oftentimes. I think otherwise, you know, I found it pretty easy dealing with black people in the black communities. And I think that's kind of our salvation. But I'll end it with this. Mr. Wade, you still there? I think he's on mute. I'll end it with this. Did you guys see the latest Olympic race where the blacks lost the race? It was the track and field. Did you guys see that? But did you hear about it?
Not in the 100-yard dash.
Not the 100.
Oh,
it was a track and field. It was a track and field, I think, where they lost it. Do you guys remember that?
What was the? Do you remember what was the distance?
It was one of those relays where they have to pass the baton.
Oh, 4x1. Was it a 4x1 or 4x4? Do you remember?
It could have been a 4x1 or something like that. But anyway, so in the race, they were racing, I think, the Chinese, and the Chinese aren't very fast people. But the blacks individually were faster than all of the Chinese. Yet the Chinese won.
They were technicians.
I'm sorry?
They were technicians.
Black, yeah, they never practiced passing the baton, working together. So individually, they were faster than the Chinese. To a man, each one was faster. But they still lost because the Chinese were able to pass the baton. And I think it was such a telling story, like where the blacks have to go. There's an element of working together. And then I also think there's an element of passing the baton that's missing between black people. And that's what one of the reasons why I want to get this stream up, because I think two of you guys kind of are in the same field. And Mr. Wade may one day be in need of selecting one of you guys as the mayor. Anyway, you guys drop your names and if you want to exchange numbers or whatever, but I think Chris knows how to find Emmett. And Chris,
I'll put my stuff. I'll put my website on the private chat, and you guys just take it. You guys,
indeed.
I got all my information there, so you can look me up. If you're in Birmingham, brother, come by, man, and we'll hang out for a minute and we can discuss.
Yeah, I've been knowing Chris a long time. We're about 25 years now, Chris. Tuskegee days.
Oh yeah. So you in Fairfield?
No, I'm on 280. I stay out in the Oak Mountain area.
280. Okay.
Yeah, I got a friend of mine over there.
Yeah.
I got Rob Stephenson. I don't know if you.
How old are you, Emmett? Well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 55.
Okay, yeah, I figured you're about 55. Okay, yeah, I'm 49, just a little bit up on you. We're both, Chris and I are both about the same age. 49.
You don't know Rob Stephenson with the Tuskegee? He a Kappa.
I don't know. Chris, you know it?
What's his name?
He over there in Swinging. His name Rob Stephenson. He went to Tuskegee.
Rob Stephenson. He might be a little older. I know a few Cowboys that Tuskegee though.
Okay.
Man, JP that works at he's vice Alabama Power.
Okay.
Porter, last name Porter.
Yeah, I don't know him. We're trying to make that connection, man. But hey, if you're in town,
you know my cousin Jeff though, right? You know my cousin Jeff. He a Cap. Jeffrey Wynn.
Jeff, real estate agent. Jeff Wynn.
Yeah.
Man, I know Jeff very well.
Cousin there. He a Kappa too.
Well, let me ask you this right here. Do you know? Yeah. See, now we're getting it. You know a Tina Bennett? I think it's Jeff. Tina Bennett. So that's Jeff's cousin. Yeah. Well, I know Jeff and DeNarvis. I know all those guys from back in the day. I know Jeff really good. I talk to him all the time. He's a good guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Bernard, you know him?
I think it's I forgot his name. He's Jeff's cousin. I think he's his first cousin. I think he went to Talladega.
Yeah. That's my brother.
That's your what now?
Yeah, that's my brother. That's my brother.
Who? DeNarvis?
Bernard. No.
Okay,
Bernard.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I asked you if you knew Bernard too. Yeah.
Because you got bad service over there.
Yeah, but hey, man, if you get in town, you know this way, man. I'm gonna hit me up. Hit me up, man.
Yeah.
We'll get together.
Well, this is my inaugural chat
I'll
here.
do that.
This is my inaugural chat here. I really wanted to get you guys like face to face. I know I wouldn't be able to do that personally, but I think this is probably the next best alternative. And hopefully you guys can make something happen there. Both of you connected to Birmingham. That is kind of the goal. But anyway, y'all drop the numbers. And thank you for both coming out, especially you, Emmett. I've been reaching out to you. I definitely wanted to talk to you after seeing your video.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
All right. Good to meet you, bro.
All right, buddy.